The late afternoon sun filtered through the dusty blinds of a small-town diner in Tennessee, casting long shadows across faded red booths and checkered floors. At Millie's Grub Spot, a new waitress had just started her shift. Her name was Aaliyah Jackson. Aaliyah, tall and lean with deep brown skin, wore her standard-issue diner apron. But what drew attention were the faded scars running along her forearms and the faint tattoo barely visible above her wrist. Her long sleeves did little to hide them, especially when she reached for plates or poured coffee. Customers whispered. A few chuckled behind her back. She must have been in some gang. One man murmured, "Bet she's trouble." Those scars ain't from baking cookies, a woman added under her breath, sipping sweet tea with disdain. Aaliyah heard them. She always did, but she said nothing. She moved with silent dignity, setting coffee mugs and pancakes down with care, even as the cruelty of strangers lingered in the air like cigarette smoke. It had been her third day on the job. The manager, a kindly but nervous woman named Grace, tried to stay neutral. She had seen a lot of small-town gossip go wrong, but business was business, and the crowd was clearly growing wary of Aaliyah's presence. That evening, the dinner rush began. The door jingled, and in walked a silver-haired man with a weathered army cap leaning on a cane. His name was Walter Boone. Most just called him Sarge. He was a regular. He sat at his usual booth near the window and waited patiently until Aaliyah came over. She smiled, but not with her eyes. The kind of smile you wear to hide everything you've been through. "Coffee and meatloaf, please," he said. "You're new." "Yes, sir. Started this week." He squinted up at her. His gaze lingered not on her face, but on her wrist, the faint ink of a military unit tattoo. His brow furrowed, and his voice dropped low. "What unit?" She hesitated. No one had asked her that since she left the military. 160th SOAR. "Night Stalkers," she said softly. Walter's eyes widened. "That's special operations. Helicopter pilots and support. You weren't just in the Army, you were elite." She gave a faint nod, lips pressed tightly together. "Those scars," he asked gently. "Crash in Kandahar. I was crew chief. We got hit mid-flight. I pulled 2 men out before it exploded. These scars, they're the only reason I'm still here." Walter leaned back, quiet for a moment. He looked around the diner, taking in the sideways glances, the whispers. Anyone else in this diner even know what it means to jump into a war zone in the dark without being seen or heard? He said, louder than necessary. Heads turned. "She's not some charity case. She's a damn hero. You should be thanking her, not gossiping like a bunch of school kids." A hush fell over the room. Aaliyah stood still, blinking rapidly, unsure how to respond. Walter wasn't done. "I served in Vietnam. Infantry. I've met men who cried for their mamas when the bullets started flying. What she did." He looked back up at her. "You don't walk away from that unchanged. And if those scars are the price for saving lives, then I say wear them with pride." Aaliyah's throat tightened. She felt her eyes burn, but she refused to cry in front of the same people who'd mocked her. Grace stepped forward from behind the counter, clearing her throat. "Mr. Boone is right," she said. "Aaliyah's part of this team now, and she's more than earned our respect. If anyone's got a problem with that, they can take their business elsewhere." A couple of customers left their money on the table and exited in silence, ashamed. Others sat quietly, stunned. One older woman even stood up and walked over to Aaliyah. "I'm sorry," she said. "I judged you before knowing anything. My husband served. I should have known better." Aaliyah finally smiled, a real one. From that day on, everything changed. Word spread quickly across town. The woman with the scars wasn't a threat, she was a war hero. Veterans came in just to meet her. A few even left big tips and thank her for her service. Walter became her biggest supporter, often sitting through double coffee refills just to keep her company and swap war stories. She would laugh at his corny jokes and shake her head as he teased the younger servers. In the weeks that followed, Aaliyah started to open up. She talked about her time in Afghanistan, about how hard it was to transition back into civilian life, how she had struggled with PTSD, homelessness, and being overlooked by the very country she'd served. I lost friends over there, she told Walter one evening. Came home with survivor's guilt, like I wasn't supposed to be the one who made it. But this job, it's helping. People like you. It reminds me I'm not invisible. Walter squeezed her hand. You're not invisible. You're just getting started. Eventually, the local paper caught wind of her story and published a feature titled From Warzone to Waffles, the hero at Millie's grub spot. The story went viral. Soon, strangers from out of town started visiting the diner just to shake her hand. A nonprofit offered her a scholarship to finish her degree in aviation maintenance. A group of local veterans started a support circle at the diner, with Aaliyah as their honorary founder. She even started speaking at high schools and community events, sharing her story, advocating for better mental health resources for veterans, especially women and people of color. What once had been a temporary job became her foundation for a new life. Not because it was glamorous or paid well, but because it gave her a place to be seen, valued, and understood. One day, months later, a little girl walked into the diner with her parents. She looked at Aaliyah's arm at the scars and asked, "Did it hurt?" Aaliyah knelt down and smiled. "Yeah, it did, but it doesn't hurt anymore. It made me stronger." "Are you a superhero?" the girl asked. Aaliyah laughed. "Something like that." Walter, sitting at his booth as always, raised his coffee mug in a silent salute. Aaliyah nodded back, because sometimes it takes just one person to look past the scars to see the courage underneath and remind the world what real heroes look like.